Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Ange, and today I have a very special guest. Yesterday it was my husband and I's first year anniversary since the day he proposed and we got engaged. And so I thought in celebration to that we would do a husband tag today so that I could have the opportunity to introduce him to you guys finally. I'm super excited, and I really had to do quite a bit of convincing for him to agree to do this video, so please show us some support and be kind to hubby. Let's get started then. Alright, so first question is, how and where was our first date?
Our very first date was at a wonderful cafe slash restaurant, more modern one, and that I found in the same district that Angel lives and lived also back then. And it was recommended to me by a couple of my friends. And yeah, it was a still time of the year where you could still sit outside, enjoy a little bit of the weather, have something to drink and to eat. And yeah, it was wonderful.
Absolutely, and I have to add to that because this wasn't planned or we didn't know. We sat down, and then soon afterwards a group of musicians came, actually a couple of groups of musicians came, and we then found out that it was a super special night, that they had live music going on, and it was such a surprise for us, and it really suited the whole atmosphere so well because it was super romantic. And you know, when you meet for the first time, of course there's going to be a little bit of shyness, a little bit of awkwardness, but when we met and the live music was going on, it was super smooth and really an enjoyable experience, right? And I think our first date for me was super fun because I saw him and I thought, how could a guy be so decent and charming? And it was such a coincidence because afterwards, when I went home in the evening and I put my music on and I was listening to Taylor Swift, and I heard the song Enchanted, and that was all the lyrics and everything. I think all of you guys who love Taylor as much as I do would know it just suits this situation and our encounter and everything that happened that night so well. And so ever since then he became Mr. Enchanting. And so yeah, that was our first date. It was the most magical and enchanted evening of my life, and yeah, and guess that's the reason why we're still here today. Right? Alright, question number 2. What was your first impression of me? Or mine of him?
My first impression, it wasn't even on our very first date.
True.
It was with the phone call, actually, like real impression.
Yeah.
The phone call we had before when I was at this wine festival outside of Vienna with a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And
we called for the first time, right?
We called for the first time. It was very, very interesting because it was very professional in the beginning.
Okay, you guys, I have to quickly just add one detail to that. The reason why he said it was very professional is because it was almost like two business partners meeting up and then figuring out if it's a match, to do business together. I mean, I was super, we're both into management and leadership, and it's a big topic in our lives and our careers, and so I finally found someone who likes the topic as well, and so it was very natural of me to ask him what's his leadership style.
Yeah, it's not something you'd expect on the very first phone call. But over that, or beginning with that, we had a very nice conversation, and we immediately found a lot of things that I had the feeling like we could talk about for hours and days.
Absolutely.
Which came to be true, absolutely.
Absolutely.
In the coming days and weeks and months.
Yeah, he's the most witty and humorous person I know, because it's his, often, he's not a very sarcastic person, but sometimes he has a bit of sarcasm in his jokes, and it's just super, it's just super funny. Maybe you just have to find the right person to actually get each other's jokes. I think that's really important, so it's a good match. But for me, ever since our very first call and then agreeing to meet up together and then meeting him personally, I find up until now we're already married, and I still find him to be the person that could bring the most laughter and smiles onto my face. So, yeah. Okay, so my first impression of him. So we had the phone call, which was extremely nice. I thought, what a gentleman, a really gentle person. And then when we met each other in person, actually started with just his gaze when he looked towards me, and our eyes met, and in that moment I thought to myself, he's such a genuine person, very kind, has a very kind, what do you call it, Ausstrahlung, expression, right, and aura, and he just completely blew me away when he started talking, and it was just a great synergy and match there, so very harmonious since day one. Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to him. Every second was really precious to me, and time flew by super quick, right? Yeah. Oh, and another thing, I like tall guys. So when I saw him for the first time, and I was like, he's tall. He's really tall. That was also very striking and pleasing to me. I like that a lot. I'm just being super honest here. This is, girls care about these things. And anything about my outer appearance that you liked, that was pleasing to you, or that wasn't a factor for you at all?
It always is a factor. You have to be attracted on a physical level too.
Absolutely,
obviously.
yeah. But it's definitely not the most crucial point. I think there's so much in order to become soulmates and to be soulmates. I think it takes a lot of things, and it takes a lot of mutual understanding and etc. So outer appearance is definitely one thing, but it's not the thing that keeps you drawn into this person over time. Alright, now we're down to question 3. How did you know that I was the one?
And for me, it's not. For the overwhelming part, is not a rational question. This is really something that comes down to gut feeling. How it's feeling. Can you imagine being with this person for a very, very long time, or the rest of your life? Would you look forward, if you have a mental image, like when you're old, and you imagine you sitting with someone at a lake, like a story that I told you of my grandparents, and you think ahead and you think, wow, this is the person that I want to sit next to me in that very moment, and it would be such an enjoyment and such a wonderful time until then. That is something, when you can imagine, that is a very big part of the decision for me is already clear. And then, on the other hand, you have to make it real too. And you will come to a point where you have different opinions. You have to overcome very difficult things, right? Where you're not 100% alike, but where you must find common ground for it to work. And we always could. We always came to a very good one. It was never really a compromise. It was more like an understanding and then finding something that is neither nor but our own version of whatever the solution needed to be.
We always managed to find the perfect answer for both of us, and somehow just always made it better in the end, right? So even if we had differences and different Vorstellungen, like different imagination or different expectations, but at the end of the day it was always about us and finding a solution. So I think this is a tip for couples in general, that no matter how different things might be, even if you have two different cultures coming together, so different, but then if it's the right person and if it is your soulmate, you would always at the end of the day find the right answer that makes both of you even more happier.
The answer is only one part, right?
True.
The journey to get there is the thing that really brings the benefit for every new and upcoming hurdle or disagreement or whatever you have.
Absolutely. And for me, he said, the gut feeling, right? And for me it was, I don't know, this sounds so crazy and maybe so unrelatable for certain people, but the first time I saw him, I felt he was going to be my husband. And I've also heard this phrase coming out of other people's mouths, and at that time I couldn't understand at all. I could not grasp that type of emotional feeling, and but when I saw him, I had a feeling that he gave me the security and just such a humble and down-to-earth person who could really become my safe haven, and is just such a reliable character and personality. And this is one of the most important characteristics for me when I'm looking for my partner in life and my partner in crime. So I knew it was him somewhat quite early, but then obviously the journey that brought us even closer and closer made it more and more clear, and also just by the simple fact that we didn't dwell on the topic, right? We didn't dwell on how long do we need to observe each other, or how long do we have to be in a relationship, and etc. to take the next step, get into the next phase in life where we commit ourselves to each other and decide to get married. It wasn't a long time. It was a year, and we've talked about it. We've communicated very well through that year. I think we were always very direct with each other, and that really set a very good foundation and built the core, and everything else just came along. Right? So for me it was also really clear that this is going to be my hubby. Say that again?
But
what did you say about me just now?
Nothing.
Alright, so last question. What are the key elements to successful marriage and relationship? One thing that I definitely want to point out is this is something that I cherish very much, and I am so grateful for. My husband, he is always very responsive to everything that I say in daily life. So I'm not going to really talk about the communication part and all those things that are super on the surface and everyone knows of. Response, giving your partner the right amount of response that he or she needs on a daily basis. That's what makes every single day super pleasant and harmonious. So I'll give you an example. Sometimes when he's busy doing something and when I'm doing something as well, I might all of a sudden pop up with a question, or I might go ahead and ask him to help me to do something, because in that moment I wanted to speak to him, and in that moment I needed him to give me a response. Now, in a lot of relationships that fail, I see that one partner, one side, is hesitant or just reluctant or ignorant to give a response at that moment. So that leads to a lack of attention and as well as communication in that moment. So for example, if he didn't give me the response, I could ask him a super stupid or banal question. It didn't have to be anything super important, but he would always have one ear open for me and always take his time and have the patience to come in that moment when I needed his response, give it to me and satisfy me. And that is a very small detail that I appreciate on a daily basis. And I think this is something that every couple needs to look into. So it's not just about your needs or my needs, but in that moment, right, when you need a response, that your partner responds to you, that is a sign of love, and that is a sign of paying attention. And that's how I see and how I know that I'm always in his eyes and he's always paying attention to me. And this is also a clear sign of caring, because how do men really show caring? I think not all men are super detail oriented and etc., but you would know that they really care about you when they pay attention to when you need a response from them and they give it to you. So this is one suggestion or tip that I have to couples who are maybe struggling a bit and with their communication, that you pay attention to these small details on a daily basis. Anything else that you want to elaborate on or give away to all our viewers?
I mean, one other thing that comes to mind is that I think me, for myself speaking, I like it a lot to do things for you, right? Because you enjoy it, it's like pleasure. And when I can do anything small, like when you're super focused in work, and I just think, oh, maybe she wants to have some hot tea or something. I just make it and I bring it to you, and you are very happy in that moment. It gives me a lot of joy too. And for me, it's not a big thing to do, but it gives me a lot. And I think it makes you happy too, and the other way around too, right? And that is something, just, it's a manifestation of care and how you cherish each other and how you just think about each other also when you're not directly next to each other.
Absolutely. I always have the feeling that he's always thinking of me and caring and paying attention to me no matter what he's doing. He could be completely immersed and busy with doing his thing and I'd be doing my thing, but when we need each other, we are always just one footstep away from each other, and we can always, come and give each other a hug or just through small things. So yeah, I like to observe him. I like to observe the details and things that he cares about, and what are the small things that I could do to make his daily life a little bit more convenient. I think that is also exactly what he does for me, and the result is it brings me more joy than the actual thing itself. But just seeing his reaction, like he said, seeing my reaction gives him more joy and makes him feel more satisfied. So that is something very special, and we just keep that up. It's not a matter of one day doing this. It's really for life, right? So yeah, those are the two small tips that we want to give to you guys. I'm sure you've definitely heard of so many other great tips from other people, like communication is key and all of that. So I don't think we need to touch on that. But these are the things that you can really do on a daily basis and really change your relationship and get so much more joy.
Or maybe one bonus.
Yeah, one bonus. Here we go.
Something that my grandma said last time was things that make a relationship, and she was married for her whole life, very, very happy. And she said, number one thing is you have to have things that you both like, that you can spend a lot of time with together. And we have a lot of things that we can sit and talk or work on together.
It's crazy.
From home projects that we do, or from talking about things that I would have never imagined before talking to my wife for such a long time. And that is something that we can always come back to.
Absolutely. And doing this, for example, right now, this is not something that he would usually ever do, and I'm just super grateful that he's willing to join me in doing and realizing things. Realisieren. I don't think I can speak English today. Anyways, to really do things that make me happy and fulfills me, and that makes him feel super happy as well. So, taking back guilty. Exactly. So, yeah, that was our husband tag for today. If you guys really enjoyed this one, then please let us know in the comments below so that we could make a part 2, and then we'd be able to actually tell you a little bit more about himself, and yeah, maybe also other topics that we'd gladly share with you guys and make content about. For example, leadership, management, agile, and agile leadership, right? Is definitely his topic, and so yeah, let us know if you guys would be interested, and I can't wait to see you on my next video. Thank you so much for all your support, and see you next time. Bye!
Bye bye!